When a mother and her teenage daughter were violently attacked in East Boston in February of 2020, then Suffolk DA Rachel Rollins pursued it as a hate crime. The pair had been walking in Maverick Square, talking to each other in Spanish, when surveillance video shows a white woman run up to them, apparently shouting, then punching the mother. As that mother, identified only as Ms. Vasquez, fought back, another white woman joined in, and Ms. Vasquez said she and her daughter were hit, kicked, bitten, and told, quote, "This is America. Go back to your expletive country." But on Friday, prosecutors announced they'd reached a plea deal with one of the two women accused in the attack, who was initially charged with misdemeanor civil rights violations, misdemeanor assault and battery, and felony assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. So what will she serve? 15 months probation and a substance abuse evaluation, while the other defendant reportedly plans to take her case to trial. I'm joined by Sophia Hall. She's Deputy Litigation Director for Lawyers for Civil Rights, which has been supporting the victims and released that surveillance video you just saw before any arrests were made. Sophia, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
Your organization released a statement after the sentencing that said the court met racism and bigotry with leniency and tolerance. Why do you think they did that?
I mean, I think unfortunately people don't realize how commonplace hate crimes are. That is a result of the fact that we have no standardized practice for collecting hate crime data across the country. It's highly underreported, and it is a crime that targets the most vulnerable because of who they are. And we don't, as a country, value the harm in that experience.
But it wasn't the country making the decision, it was the interim DA. And here's Kevin Hayden, the interim DA's comment on this to the Globe. As both district attorney and as a black man, I've seen and experienced the impacts of hate and racism. The violent actions and hateful behavior this individual admitted to have no place in our society. So was any rationale given as to why, in light of that comment, why the sentence negotiated, the deal negotiated with his office was so light?
No, unfortunately, and I think, again, the disconnect is part and parcel of the fact that hate crimes are devalued as harmful offenses against people of color.
What do you think would have been a fair sentence in this case, or a range at least?
I believe that it may have been included in the statement, but the family was quite explicit. They asked for a volunteer sentence, so volunteer work in the community working with immigrants. So to actually have a sentence that would have reflected back the harm that they caused to the immigrant community in East Boston.
Pretty modest, I should say, too, by the way. It isn't, so they weren't even looking for jail time, significant jail time. They just wanted them to be forced to work in a community and maybe learn a little something and give back a little something?
Precisely.
You know, one of the most powerful parts of this, beyond that shocking video, was I read a summary of the testimony on Friday that was given by Ms. Vasquez. Can you summarize what she and her daughter said the impact of these crimes on them have been on their lives?
I mean, it's so far-reaching, and it's really horrendous. And for the people in the courtroom, they just sat there with tears in their eyes and shook their heads as the family described a fear of speaking their native language anytime they're outside of their home, as they described a fear of taking public transportation. I think it's really particularly damaging when hate crimes involve a young person, because it can have a real impact on their development. Mm-hmm. And to have a mother or a parent present during a hateful attack like that and be unable to really protect your child in the way that you would hope, all of that makes this very unique. And Ms. Vasquez and her daughter were quite eloquent in putting that into writing.
Did you speak to them after the sentence was announced?
My colleague did, who was present in court with them. And, they were just really heartbroken because it's been 2 long years. They have fought for every inch that they've gotten in this matter, for it to be considered a hate crime, for it to be investigated that way, for it to be prosecuted at all. So this was really a slap in the face for them.
I know this is incalculable, but when I was reading about this story, I was thinking about the fact that the number of hate crimes is up in Massachusetts, as you know better than I from your work. What kind of message does this send? And it does. I mean, I'm not naive enough to think someone's going to say, well, I'm going to commit a crime or not commit a crime based upon the sentence I heard. But it does send a message about how the society treats such behavior. I mean, what's your reaction?
the absence of the deterrent effect, right? If we could see a result like the Avery case, I mean, I think that would be something that could actually make a difference, because otherwise we're sending the message that this is okay, that this is part and parcel for every assault that walks through a courthouse door, countless times a week, a month, that there's really no difference here. And unfortunately, the Commonwealth missed out on an opportunity to send a strong message.
By the way, when I spoke to new DA Hayden, either on radio or on television last week, I can't remember, he described racist behavior that was directed at him as a young man. So I'm very anxious next time he's here to get his thoughts on what the rationale was here. I want to turn to something else. There was an incredibly beautiful, powerful, and painful piece in the Globe in the last couple of days about one of your colleagues who died by suicide recently, and she was here. We were talking, it was in November of 1918, we were discussing Trump's rhetoric regarding immigrants, and here's just a taste of what Lauren Sampson had to say.
We are here today a few weeks away from Thanksgiving, a moment in which Americans celebrate folks who came to this country because of persecution and sought to build new lives here. We essentially have a choice here between, are immigrants part of the American story and the American future, or are they never going to be our people?
By the way, obviously I meant 2018, my apologies there. Can you spend a minute, for those who didn't read the Globe piece, and tell us about this incredible woman and colleague of yours?
Yeah, so Lawyers of Civil Rights, the larger community, her family and her husband recently lost attorney Lauren Sampson. And anyone that knew her, if you were just watching that video clip for even a moment, what is clear to everyone is that she was an incredibly passionate and intelligent community advocate. She fundamentally believed that she got to wake up every day and do a job that she loved and a job that made a difference. And it really is, it's such a tragedy. It's impossible for us to really describe the loss that we currently feel and that I think community will continue to feel for a long time to come.
You were mentioning to me before we went on the air that you thought about what the future would have held for Lauren Sampson and her work. Can you just share that for a second?
Yeah, so Lauren had been with us for nearly 4 years. And when Lauren first started, she was a fellow at Lawyers for Civil Rights, and I was her first supervisor. And I got a chance to really watch her blossom and, to be quite honest, not need the level of supervision that we originally intended. And to imagine if she had had another 30 years to continue being the incredible advocate that she was.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I read the beautiful piece in the Globe. Please tell her family and her colleagues that we all miss her. And we wish you all the best, and I know what is a very difficult time. Sophia, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.